Hi, and welcome to 3 Things in 3 Minutes. I'm Nersi. Today we are previewing Gloom of Thrones from Atlas Games. It plays 2 to 5 players and plays in 30 to 60 minutes. Now the components you see here are a prototype and do not represent the final product. This is the latest iteration of the Gloom series that unofficially parodies Game of Thrones. If you're not familiar with Gloom, it's a card-driven storytelling game. Each player has several members of a family. On your turn, you take actions, mainly by playing clear cards that represent one-time events, or more often modifiers that either describe misfortunes worth negative points, or good fortunes worth positive points on you or other players' family members. As you stack them, you can cover up effects that you don't want, since only what's visible counts. The goal is to have your family members be as miserable as possible before you or someone else plays an untimely death card, killing them off. The game ends when somebody's family completely dies and the player with the lowest or most negative points at the end of the game wins. Things I like. If you're interested in Gloom and Game of Thrones, this iteration is going to seem like a natural fit because, well, everyone in the Game of Thrones TV show and book series is pretty miserable and dies a terrible death. The game plays with that theme a bit, with some cute art and text on the cards, particularly descriptors that act as fun inside jokes to fans of the fantasy series. As a side note, some of them can represent minor spoilers if for some reason you haven't watched the show or read the books and still intend to. This version is also a bit more than a simple reskinning of Gloom, as it adds a couple new mechanics, most notably the Porcelain Throne card. It passes from one character to the next frequently, and it scores a substantial negative score to the character still living at the end of the game who has possession of it. Now this can help fix some of the frustration with your family members not being dead at the end of the game, and it lets you have a bit more control over when you can kill off characters, and these both create some subtle changes to the game strategy. Points to consider. In the end, this game is still basically Gloom. If you love Gloom and love Game of Thrones, you'll enjoy this, and it's still an easy game to teach. Now, if you're not sold on Gloom, this probably won't change your mind. And central to that is the premise of Gloom. It plays best if you're in it for storytelling, explaining what happens to each character as you play the cards. Now, if you just play it for the mechanics and ignore the narrative, it's far less fun. And as with the original Gloom, your actions are entirely dictated by which cards you have in your hand, which are blindly drawn from a common deck. So there's a fair amount of luck in this game, and there are rounds where you just may have to pass because every option available to you is going to help other people. And it still uses the clear cards of Gloom, which still remains clever, though as you stack them fairly high, it can be hard to read what's near the bottom if that's still showing. So, in summary, this is a new variant of Gloom that features appropriately gloomy Game of Thrones theme. It is an easy game to teach that still shares some of the quirks of the original game, and as before, you'll enjoy it most if you enjoy the storytelling aspects. Thanks so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.